or manage other people's resistance to change. First and foremost, know, teach, and counteract biases. When people have self-awareness, they're more able to recognize roadblocks and work around them. Educating other people only helps, as the more people know, the better able they are to recognize the signs and symptoms of bias versus the reality that might be going on. Again, the more people that understand the psychological biases that are at play that are very natural, the more help you have at kind of dispelling them and counteracting them so you can get to the reality of a situation. 2, position change in an employee's or a person's best interest. Change is often resisted because it's seen as a threat to the status quo, a threat to the way an individual understands their role, their job, their function, or how they tie into the greater picture. Helps people know what to expect. And when you know what to expect, you're less resistant. When you know what you're walking into, you are less resistant. And I think we can all relate to that in some way. 3, provide an opportunity to speak freely and encourage open dialogue. Being able to have a say in things allows people to have ownership. And when humans feel ownership in things, they're more likely to work with versus work against. Dialogue is an enhancer, not a detractor. And again, what applies in our personal relationships actually really does apply in the organizational culture or in the organizational relationship. It's no different. We're people in our personal lives and we're people in our work lives. There's no difference. So obviously having this open dialogue is going to help people see other perspectives, just like it would in a one-on-one conversation in your personal life. So as you can see, some of the suggestions I'm giving you are kind of really rooted in common sense. I think sometimes when we transfer personal to professional, though, we think it has to be so different. The next suggestion is manage your personal reactions when you hear something you don't want to hear. And this is often one of the hardest things to do because you're human too. You might get resistant or defensive, especially if you're really a fan of the change to come. The minute you go there, though, you're closing down the conversation and instigating resistance. And remember, resistance begets resistance. Openness begets openness. But I also have to add a caveat here. It's not only what you say, it's also how you look. So sometimes you might just be listening and keeping your mouth shut and biting your tongue, but your anger or how you feel about something is all over your face, and I call this leaky face. So when I say manage your personal reactions when you hear something you don't want to hear in order to encourage the open dialogue, I'm not just talking about what comes out of your mouth. I'm also talking about your body language, how you look, your tone, and all of that. And that is often harder to control than what comes out of our mouths. Encourage a growth mindset. This is very important, and I could talk for hours and hours on this. So although we don't have time today to delve into the research by Carol Dweck on mindset, some of the most successful personal as well as company-wide change initiatives occur because a growth mindset was cultivated. A growth mindset means that people believe their abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work, meaning that brains and talent are just the starting point. A growth mindset organization or individual honors the struggle of change. It welcomes it, in fact, and keeps the line of what's working and what's not working and why open so that all people can learn and grow together. And this leads us to our next point. Keep the what's working and what's not dialogue open and frequent. This allows individuals to share lessons learned, problems encountered, and think about ways to make it even better. Without this open dialogue, people shut down and the emotion can just start interfering. So what I'm saying here with this what's working, what's not open dialogue, with the encouraging the growth mindset and encouraging the open dialogue in general, what you're doing here with any kind of initiative, whether it be a personal initiative like stopping smoking or not eating chocolate anymore, whether it be a huge organizational initiative like integrating new technology, mistakes are going to happen. Problems are going to happen. Concerns are going to happen. Emotions are going to happen. Resistance is going to happen. If you cut that off and don't allow for it to happen or penalize based on the mistakes or scold or whatever it might be, then you're shutting people down and creating increased resistance. Mistakes are good because mistakes point out that, okay, we need to maybe adjust the process a little bit or change the process a little bit, or maybe we need more training or need to show people how to do things a little bit differently, or we're learning that this doesn't work, maybe we can try it a different way. This creates that kind of open dialogue, that open growth mindset, so change can really take effect and people can get on board. Another point I want to make is steer clear of change fatigue. That's a real thing. Too much change all at once, just like ego depletion, like we talked about with the radishes and chocolate chip cookies, can make all of these efforts null and void. You can't do a million different changes all at once in your personal life or in organizational life. People actually do get very fatigued and can only take so much. So one of the things I'd like to add is the concept of small wins. So one way to do little changes and to not fatigue people is to allow for small wins. As we know, progress, even a small amount of progress, helps to shift one's mindset and encourage motivation and perseverance. At the end of the day, successful change is rooted in perseverance, grit, and resilience. It's being able to pick oneself up after falling down and trying it again and again. Having these small wins actually is what helps people stay in the game.